To quote Pink Floyd, money. Welcome everybody to the Friday episode of Beyond the Borderline with your hosts Connor, Cam, Phil, and Ryan.
Money. Yeah, well, we're talking about money. We're continuing the conversation on capitalism and socialism and comparing the two. I mean, more so it's just us shitting on socialism, but we'll see. Maybe I'll play devil's advocate later on. Or
Listen,
anyone
But
feel
like,
free.
listen, it's not hard to shit on something when it has so few redeeming qualities.
It's true, yeah.
The ideas of socialism are good. They just don't work because, as you said earlier, Ryan,
Well, that means they're bad. That means they're bad.
They're not good ideas. Listen, I understand that there is the original person who thought of socialized ideas is probably coming from an altruistic point of
No,
view.
he's not. Karl Marx is a bitter piece of crap.
I'm just saying that maybe there is someone like that. I'm not going to deny the possibility that, someone believes that they would act in an altruistic fashion, but more often, or not more often than not, every time anyone who has tried to act in that capacity, it has always led them astray. And that's why it is inherently a bad idea.
Yeah.
Here's the thing though, you said somebody, like, I think it would be able to work if it was a community without a figurehead, but countries and nations have gotten so big you can't really have a nation, like you can't have a body of representatives. You need to have one representative, and that's where the issue comes in. Because
so what you're saying is you would have a decentralized community that voluntarily interacts with one another and tries to have equal wealth dispersed among each other.
That's when it would make sense, and that would prevent the corruption. But that's
kind
not
of sounds like capitalism to me.
Well, it sounds like democracy. So I want to build off of an idea that I mentioned in the Great Resignation episode, or the one following it, which is that it seems as if capitalism, and it's not like this is some great revelation, but it seems as if capitalism is inherent to democracy, and it's simply the economic manifestation of democratic liberal principles, and so anything other than looking at an economic system from a capitalist viewpoint is actually going against democracy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's kind of like, how does democracy work as a political system? Everyone gets a vote, so the people control the system, control the political system indirectly through voting for representatives and whatnot. And their executive in the United States, but here we don't directly vote for our prime minister. But anyway, you get the idea.
Canada, your vote doesn't count as much depending on where you live.
Well, we could definitely talk about electoral systems at a different time, because there are some massive problems here and in the United States for sure.
More so here.
Well, yeah, it depends. But anyway, so your vote matters to some extent in democracies as a political idea, because you decide who the leaders are, and if nobody voted, then, well, it wouldn't work at all. And in the same way, what do politicians try to do? They try to, well, what is a campaign platform? They're trying to court voters by promising things to you. So you, as a citizen, in your relationship with the state, get treated better through democracy, because these people wouldn't have jobs without you, and capitalism is the exact same thing, but just an economic model. So your vote matters in capitalism too. How you spend your money matters. The fact that you are allowed to spend your money where you want at these however you want matters. And so having the consumer holding the corporations accountable is a democratic principle. And in return, you as a consumer get treated better with better products and better service because of that. And everybody profits, And so anything other than that is actually incompatible with democracy. Mm-hmm. So when people like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all these people propose these ideas of democratic socialism, that's a misnomer. That's a oxymoron. You actually cannot have socialism to a large extent mixed in with democracy because they're antithetical to one another. Whereas
Mhm.
capitalism is literally just the economic manifestation of a democratic polity. So I don't like. Let me know if I'm making sense here and what your guys' thoughts are.
No, I completely agree with you, Cam, because at the end of the day, if you strip democracy and capitalism down to its bare bones, there are so many synergies between the two, ideologies that they're almost one and the same, right? Democracy is about being able to freely vote for an elected representative, right? So that the power is with the people, so that they can they are giving up the ability to govern 100% everything for themselves, but they are choosing someone that has the same views as them, right? Mm-hmm. It's almost like that same mutual exchange we've talked about with capitalism.
Exactly. And in turn, it makes the service better, right?
Yes.
A country is better under democracy. Why? Because the people hold the politicians accountable. You're not actually going to have a job unless you do what I want,
mm-hmm.
And not so blackmaily about it. But
the thing, something that does need to be said about democracy that a lot of people don't understand is democracy does not inherently grant people civil liberties, those liberties that we value so greatly. What grants you those civil liberties is, a constitution, or a bill of rights. That is what guarantees you your civil liberties. Nothing about democracy inherently grants you that.
No, not inherently, but it flows from the same general school of thought.
Yeah,
it flows from Judeo-Christian values as well. And that all kind of coalesced in one big ideological soup in Europe. And that's why Europe, has basically controlled the world.
That sounds gross.
Well, I mean, it's true, right?
All I can think about is the corpse wax being in that soup.
Yeah, well, you get the idea that, the people should have some input in their governance from Greece, and Rome after them. And then you get the idea from Christianity and Judaism that, humans have inherent dignity because they have a spark of the divine within them. And, you mix those things together with a lot of, time and war and culture and that kind of stuff. And you get the idea that, maybe monarchies, maybe kings don't deserve to be ruling over everybody because they're just the same as everybody else. All are equal under God. And then you get democracy, and then that fosters again. But like you said, a constitution is obviously important because that's the great thing about the US, right? Is like all these ideas were there, but they had to codify it, and they had that as something that they had to live up to, which is why even though they had slavery and Jim Crow and these horrible policies, they were held accountable by their constitution, and their Declaration of Independence, and the idea that all men are created equal before God. And so they had to live up to that. And anything less is actually straying from their identity.
And as of late, it definitely seems like the charter in Canada is not worth the paper it's written on.
Yeah, we can talk about that another time for sure.
But the way I like to describe the United States is it's more of a republic state than it is a true democracy, right?
Well, it definitely is. Yeah, it definitely is. But at the same time, that can sometimes be used to as kind of a backdoor escape argument, but it is certainly true. You're right. But Phil, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, go,
I just wanted to say that the founding fathers certainly knew what they were doing in creating the Constitution, because it was able to protect themselves. Like they were able to protect everything from themselves. Like they knew that this divine document would kind of see through their
human failings,
their motives and their drives, and eventually it still holds up till this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really is spectacular. And the fact that it's been copied across the world, like, all these fledgling democracies in Southeast Asia or South America or even Africa, for example, a lot of those countries set up constitutions that are very, very heavily based on the United States. And, it's not a coincidence. And you're right, Phil. And the fact that it survived for 200 and Phil's mom just walked in. Hi, Carrie. Hi, Carrie. I hope she listens to this, but no, anyway.
She does.
Okay, cool. What was,
I mean,
what was
I'd
I saying?
argue that
Oh yeah, Connor, you
amendments
go.
need to be being made, like
What?
everyone in the States, like Phil said, it's like this divine document, but I mean, there's definitely some things in there that might need to be changed. Like, I know it's a big controversial topic, but I mean, like, the right to own guns is one
Oh
thing, but
boy, here
then
we go.
have fully automatic machine guns, like 20 of them. Like, you don't need an arsenal in your basement to protect your family.
Here's the
Yeah,
thing
but
people need. Here's
No,
the
but
thing people
it's-
need to understand is guns on their own do not kill people. People kill people. I think we can all agree that people using guns to kill people is horrible, and there needs to be a solution, and it needs to be stopped.
what was that old like meme on? It was like back when YouTube was glorious. It was
Oh.
like guns don't kill people. I kill people with
But here's
guns.
the thing. What I'm getting at here is
Ryan, why is the most school shootings in the world in the United
Okay,
States?
Wait,
hold
hold
on.
on. There's-
I'm just
there
gonna
is
shut
so
this
This is
down.
completely off topic,
I'm
but
gonna shut this down right
Connor,
now.
that proves my point. Because they knew that eventually, if they were given the opportunity, they could become tyrannical and go against their own people. So that's why that was put in place to prevent that exact thing from happening.
I'm
Yeah,
not going
we
to talk
can
about.
we
I'm-
can
gonna
talk
just-
about okay, look, stop. Okay, we can talk about how the Second Amendment manifests itself today at a later date. But going back to what Phil said, it does prove his point as to the fact that its original inclusion in the Bill of Rights was wise on the part of the founding fathers and
Was
to
it-
act as a check against the government. Okay, let's bring it back
Was
to
it wise? Yes, but like by no means is it divine, as Phil stated. It is not divine at all.
Okay,
the
my
Bill of-
my
the Bill of-
definition of divine would be that people are given the opportunity to prosper.
Mhm.
That's what
would-
I understand as
I-
divine.
To be honest,
Divine.
I would actually attribute the Bill of Rights, the American Constitution, as divine because it states in the Bill of Rights that these are your God-given rights. It is a
Right.
God-given thing. Okay, so
They're basically entrenching
inherently divine.
natural law.
they're basically using the word of God, like as it is written in the Bible, and they're attributing it to the rights that are granted to American citizens. So it is, in a lot of sense, divine. It
Well,
absolutely.
yeah, they're
Gods are made
using
by
God
God.
as a no, they're using God as a meaning nature, meaning human beings have these rights naturally, and the government, as a creation of human beings, not as a creation of God / nature, should not be able to infringe upon the natural rights of a human being.
Mhm.
And so, look, this is a totally different conversation. I'm prepared to have this discussion, but not today. Not today. So let's end it. I know you have a lot to say, Connor, and we can certainly talk about that. In fact, I think it would be a great episode.
I want to loop back to democracy for a second here. I feel like I'm playing a bit of the devil's advocate against democracy, but I think that's important to criticize things that you love because it's
I love
important to know-
democracy. I love the republic.
I think it's important to know your own, strengths and weaknesses. And one of the weaknesses to democracy is, in order for it to work, the people have to be engaged. Civic engagement must
Mhm.
remain high for democracy to function.
Mhm.
If people start to become disillusioned with the process and stop engaging with the process, then democracy is failing in that incident.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something we've
Notice
Like-
in Canada.
oh yeah. I mean, it's so hard right now. Like, I
According
won't
to the-
disclose who. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
According to the Office of the Privy Commissioner in Canada, only between less than 2% of all Canadians, I'm looking at the stat right now, less than 2% of all Canadians hold memberships to any political party, whether that be provincial or federal.
Yeah, and then of those people that actually have memberships, good luck getting 3% of them to volunteer for a
Mhm.
campaign or something.
Yeah.
It's like I'm doing some political work right now, and I'm trying to get volunteers together, and it is
Mhm.
so hard. It's like pulling teeth. Phil knows because I fucking asked him too.
I feel like
He
it's-
tried to
it's
conscript
hard.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Cam
As a
conscripted me. He got
Canadian right now,
me.
though, it's hard to back any
I'm coming for
specific
you,
leader.
Connor. I'm coming for you next.
Cool. But I think right now, as a nation, it's tough to get behind any specific leader because all these people are career politicians, and that's all I've known is
Mhm.
pretty much to talk bullshit. Like, think about back,
Boom
like
roasted.
like think about back, like in the 90s, even like the early 2000s a little bit too. Like, a lot of our leaders, opposition and the ones that were in seat as prime minister, had careers before they became the prime minister, right? Like, they had
Oh,
jobs. They understood whatever their designation was. They understood what life was like to work. Whereas politicians now get funding for the people to run their campaigns and stuff like that. And so I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect from our politicians to what it's like to what it's like to actually work.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's probably a gradient, you know, like some are better than others, obviously. But yeah, there's definitely that sense. And again, we're wading into extremely, extremely controversial territory here, but I'm gonna say that is one of the factors in that was one of the factors in Donald Trump's victory in 2016. You know, is I'm not saying necessarily that he was a working class person because he wasn't, but he was able to, and this is something that people should pay attention to, whether you like him or not. He was able to connect with those working class people and identify their grievances and, for lack of a better term, manipulate them for his own political success. And it was very clever, and that's the reason he won the presidency in 2016. Um, and so yeah, at least to have people understand, you know, or understand as much as they can, what it's like to be a normal person. I think that's definitely something that needs to be brought back a little bit more in Canada. You know, I think it's a bit better than in the States because, you know, a lot of politicians in the United States um come from, you know, dynastic families, very rich families. I mean, you look at some of the past presidents, like, I mean, you have both George Bushes. Those are people from the same family who are president, you know, just one president apart from each other, you know? Like,
Mhm.
that's very odd. You have Bill Clinton and then Hillary Clinton, who nearly became president,
The
you know,
Kennedys,
and the Kennedys, Jeb Bush, who got absolutely
the
wrecked. But
political
anyway,
aristocracy.
so it's a bit different here. I think the politicians are a bit more down to earth. A lot of them do have careers, and I know a few of them who seem to be good people.
Well,
You
not
know,
our prime minister.
well, but that's the thing, right? And he, as you know, I'll put this lightly, but as a trust fund baby born with a silver spoon in his mouth, whose daddy was prime minister, he doesn't actually have any idea what it's like to be an average working class Canadian. And it's simply the reality of it. And you can still
Mhm.
vote for him and you can still think his party has good ideas and whatnot. But I'm not going to say anything in regards to that. But as a person specifically, as someone able to connect with average Canadians, he just doesn't have that ability.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, our democracy does suffer because of it. But, you know, that's why we have elections. So everyone
Another statistic I was
vote.
looking at is in the latest federal election, 63% of all eligible Canadians who could vote voted in the past election. So you
Yeah,
might think
pretty
at
bad.
first that's not that, like, to someone who's not involved in politics, you might think, oh, 63%, we're still in the majority. That's not bad. Well, if you actually take a look at the stats since 2015, we've been in a steady decline from anywhere from 1 to 5% in voter turnout, and that's still dropping, and that is cause for concern.
True,
Is
although
that-
that is
is
slightly
that,
misrepresented. Go
I
ahead.
think
Right.
another
Is that
thing that needs to be
because-
addressed too is the fact that people are so
Phil's
stuck.
Phil's face when he got cut off. was So
I'm sorry, Phil,
funny.
I'll let you go. I just wanted to say something real quick. Was like, people are so quick to turn their eye on other parties that they don't do their research. Like, people just say, like, oh, I
Yeah.
vote for this party, but you don't know the policies of other
Mhm.
parties. You don't really know the policies of the party you're voting for. It's like,
Yes, exactly.
We
do a
met,
little
me
bit
and
of
Cam have met
research
quite a
on
few
that.
people like that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like do a little bit of research on your own, figure out what everyone's about, and then make an informed decision. It's just like I think anything in life you shouldn't make us like, oh, I have to vote tomorrow. Oh, I'm gonna go and make sure I'm still aligned with this. It's like do a little bit of research on your own, figure out what's true and what's not true, and then
But you have to be
make an
careful
informed
nowadays and
decision.
where you're getting your research from, because there are so many biased news outlets, right? Like you can't even be sure what you're reading is actually true anymore, which is,
Yeah.
which is a
That's
problem.
why I think people just need to learn more about, I think we've touched on this a couple times, but that history needs to be more prominent in education, and not only history, but civics as well. And we had grade 10 civics class, which was what, like half a semester, then the other half was careers.
And
It's
then
like
never again.
never again talked about. It's like, man,
Bill-
we need to just give people a little bit more ability to think on their own, so then they can really go to the root of what they believe, right? They can go to the
Mhm.
theory of it. They can understand why they believe what they believe. And there's a lot of great resources for that. University, you could say, maybe is one. There's a lot of great political books out there. YouTube is just wonderful for
Go to
that
your
kind of
party's
stuff.
go to the party's website and read their
Yeah.
tags and figure out. But anyways, I interrupted Phil, so Phil, go ahead.
So basically, what I wanted to say is kind of
I just your face. I wish we had video. I wish we had video right now.
that's twice
because
now. One, we could have caught a ghost.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh man, his face was just
so
beautiful.
basically, what I was gonna say is that why did only 63% of eligible people vote in the last federal election? Because they genuinely feel that their voices are not being heard,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
they
Well,
feel that they are not, that their values are not being represented in the marketplace.
Yeah.
So
And you know what?
they are
That-
abstaining from that.
That's a large problem, and we can have a larger conversation about this on another day, but that is just a large problem of how our electorate works, like how our election system works. For those that don't know, we operate under a first past the post system. So it's the representation that you're getting from your MP or whatever, or whoever gets elected, it's not what you think. Your vote, quote unquote, matters, but at the end of the day, even if the party you vote for wins the popular vote, meaning they got the higher percentage of the vote, they don't win.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's something maybe we should devote an entire episode to electoral issues, because
Mhm.
yeah, that certainly is one. Yeah, like the Conservative Party won the popular vote again this time around, but failed to capture the seats. PEI has, I think it's
4 seats.
well, yeah, they have 4 seats, which is a seat for every like 40,000 people or something like that. And in
I don't-
Alberta and British Columbia, it's like a seat for every 150,000 people or something. Like it's very skewed.
Yeah,
Very skewed.
no shade thrown to PEI. I've always wanted to visit it, but you guys, the PEI has no business having 4 seats.
No,
I'm
they
sorry.
don't. And
It's
no,
that
they
simple.
They don't. And so there are representation issues for sure.
The seafood is bomb, though. We can all
Yeah,
admit that.
and the potatoes.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
The beaches are pretty nice.
Yeah, I can't wait to go there. I'm gonna take a road trip out there one day.
Yeah. Oh, that's something else we should do an episode on one time, is like travel destinations we all want to go to.
Yes.
Mhm.
Or with that we
Yeah,
have
yeah.
been to.
Yeah, that we have been to as well.
Oh yeah,
Although,
yeah.
because I want to see so many places, dude.
Mhm.
Mostly Europe, but
Mhm.
like yeah, everyone that goes on like
Euro trip.
backpacking and road trips, like I want to carve out like a year sometime in my 20s to just do some awesome shit.
I've been while I agree completely with wanting to go to Europe, I've been fortunate to go to some pretty cool places in the States as well.
Mm-hmm.
You know
Yeah,
what?
the
I
States
think
is a yeah.
I think at age 29 is the move.
29, yeah. Maybe
29,
I'm saying
cool.
See it
27.
all, and then by 30, I'm fucking making cash money.
No, this is what it is. This is what it is. You establish the beginnings of a career now. You get your network built, and then 27 rolls around. You go and you have some fun for a year around the world, and then you come back, restart your career, and have kids. I think that's the play for me. I mean, this would obviously this is not a one-way thing. I would have to there would be considerations,
I was
with,
gonna say I'm planning on traveling soon, so
yeah, you are. Man, this episode, should we get back to capitalism or should we just
I think this is capitalism. It's being able to do the things you
Capitalism
want to
and
do.
democracy gives you the ability
Oh,
to do these things.
oh, there you
Whoa.
go. There you
That's
go.
exactly it.
It's true. That's why, yeah, that's why you can.
Do you think anyone in communist Russia was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go down to Florida, or I'm gonna go to Disney World this year for a vacation with the family?
Yeah.
No, they go to Cuba, bro. They go to Cuba.
Yeah, they go to Cuba.
Yeah, they go to Cuba for shit food.
Oh, you know
Oh.
Bernie Sanders had his honeymoon in the Soviet Union.
Oh
Look-
my god.
Like that's commitment. That's commitment to the cause, the workers' cause.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I just don't understand. Oh, I'm not gonna go there.
Anyways, I think we'll leave it there for the day. So
Yeah,
everyone,
yeah, we should wait. Let me just go over. I had some cool points. Like, let me just not miss anything here.
all right, just list them off.
Oh. As a last point, if you want to look at the benefits of capitalism, just take 1 second to look at your life and ask yourself what you're grateful for. And if you say you're grateful for, your house or the things that you have, or any of these material things, or the university you went to, or your career, or the country that you live in and stuff, just realize that that is a product of capitalism, and when people are hating on entrepreneurs, or they're hating on billionaires, or they're doing this while tweeting from an iPhone and sipping on a Starbucks, just take a second to realize the hypocrisy in that. I think would be great, because really it does provide opportunity, and yeah, it's awesome.
Amen.
But yeah, maybe
With
that was too preachy. I don't want to be preachy,
That's all
so
good.
feel free
With
to
that
ignore
being
me,
said-
and also feel free to think that I'm a
Meanwhile-
complete loser. And
We are brought to you by super fast internet and double espresso.
sponsored by Starbucks and McDonald's. we're fucking sellouts. No,
Well, I got a promo code.
we're not sponsored by anybody yet.
Yet.
I thought we don't want
Sponsored
sponsorships.
Sponsored by ourselves.
We need to get Manscaped or somebody.
Yeah, Dollar Shave Club
Swipes.
Yeah, or
or
Sa-
Squatch.
Squatch.
Yeah, I want some Star Wars soap.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want some Darth Maul colored soap. Are you kidding?
Yeah, that would be awesome.
All right. With that being said, everybody, I hope you enjoyed the episode. Last couple of minutes were kind of jokes. So yeah, any ideas? Again, feel free to DM, comment on our posts.
I've had too much sugar today. It's just it's not my fault.
The gluttony has continued.
Yeah,
Alright,
I'm a glutton.
All right, everyone, take care, brush your hair, have a great weekend.